What happens when a Hollywood titan storms off a talk show stage in a blaze of fury? You're about to hear the story of Brad Pitt's jaw-dropping exit from Jimmy Kimmel Live, a confrontation that left the audience stunned and set social media on fire. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment with your thoughts on Brad Pitt. Let's get started. The night began much like any other episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live. The Hollywood studio was packed with excited fans, eager for celebrity interviews and Kimmel's signature sharp humor. Brad Pitt, a renowned A-list actor known for his charm and acclaimed roles, was the headline guest, booked to promote his latest sci-fi thriller that was generating a lot of buzz. Producers expected Pitt to deliver star power and perhaps share some insights about his film's ambitious vision. Jimmy Kimmel, a host skilled at blending jokes with conversation, was ready to play off Pitt's charisma. The stage was perfectly set for a high-energy segment intended to produce viral moments. However, backstage, the mood was already tense. Pitt arrived at the studio earlier that day with a small entourage, and crew members noted he seemed focused but noticeably tense. Sources close to the production reported that Pitt had been juggling a hectic promotional schedule, while also facing renewed media scrutiny over his environmental activism, which had sparked online debates. He was reportedly fed up with questions that twisted his activism into controversy. During a pre-show briefing, Pitt emphasized that he wanted the focus to be solely on his film and its themes of humanity's future. He asked the producers to avoid probing into his personal life or framing his environmental work as political, insisting he was there to discuss art and ideas. The team agreed, but some staff members felt uneasy. Kimmel's show often leaned into topical banter, and Pitt's boundaries clashed with its usual vibe. Meanwhile, Kimmel was preparing in his dressing room, having been briefed about Pitt's request for a focused conversation. He wasn't overly worried, knowing he had hosted Pitt before and planned to start with light topics about the film, then sprinkle in some jokes about Pitt's high-profile activism. The audience, oblivious to the backstage tensions, roared with excitement as the show went live. Kimmel opened with his monologue, riffing on the day's headlines with his usual wit, and the crowd was electric, eager for the main event. When the announcer introduced Brad Pitt, the applause was deafening. Pitt walked out, flashing a warm smile and waving to fans, and for a moment, it seemed that the earlier strain had eased. He sat across from Kimmel, and the interview began. Kimmel started with safe questions about the sci-fi thriller's narrative, and Pitt relaxed, sharing his thoughts on the film's themes of human survival. The audience was captivated, hanging on his every word. Kimmel even made a joke about Pitt saving the planet, which drew laughs and a grin from Pitt, who seemed to be going with the flow. But then Kimmel shifted gears. He asked about a recent viral post criticizing Pitt's environmental initiatives, hinting that the backlash had stirred controversy. This was meant to be a playful probe, but touched on the very territory Pitt had asked to avoid. Pitt's smile faded as he leaned forward and responded calmly but firmly that he was there to discuss the movie, not online drama. The audience chuckled, thinking it was part of the exchange, but Kimmel sensed pushback and pressed further, setting the stage for a fiery confrontation. The studio atmosphere grew tense as Pitt's firm rebuff of Kimmel's question about his activism lingered in the air. Kimmel quickly tried to pivot, flashing a grin and returning to questions about the film's futuristic scenes. Pitt answered, detailing the intricate sets and his immersion in the role, but his responses were guarded and lacked the warmth of earlier. The audience, still interested, sensed an undercurrent of tension but remained engaged. Hoping to restore the flow, Kimmel asked about the film's vision of humanity's future. Then, taking a risk, he veered into more sensitive territory. He asked Pitt about parallels between the film's themes and his real-life push for sustainability, implying that Pitt was a kind of hero. Pitt's demeanor shifted again. He cut Kimmel off, his tone steady but sharp, and said he wanted to focus on the movie, not his personal causes. He explained that he had spent years supporting environmental efforts driven by a genuine belief in a better future, only to see his work misrepresented and politicized. The audience sat in stunned silence as Pitt's words carried weight. He expressed that he had come to share his art, not to have his advocacy turned into a soundbite. His sincerity resonated with some in the crowd, who applauded, while others looked on in shock. Producers in the control booth exchanged worried glances, expecting Pitt to play along with Kimmel's style, not challenge it so openly. The segment was beginning to derail, barely 6 minutes in. Kimmel, now navigating a delicate moment, tried to lighten the mood, claiming he was highlighting Pitt's impact, which fans admired. But Pitt was not convinced. He spoke about the years he spent building his career on projects that mattered, only to have interviews fixate on his activism in ways that distorted his intent. His tone remained calm but resolute, and as he spoke, some in the audience clapped in support while others sat quietly, stunned by the raw honesty. Social media was already erupting with clips of the exchange, spreading rapidly. Viewers debated whether Pitt was justified in setting boundaries or overreacting. Producers radioed Kimmel's earpiece, urging him to steer the conversation back to the film, but he struggled to regain control. Then Kimmel made a misstep. Sensing that the segment needed a spark, he asked Pitt about a recent online backlash accusing him of performative environmental efforts. This was framed as an opportunity for Pitt to clarify, but it directly violated his earlier request to avoid controversy. Pitt's face hardened, and he responded with piercing clarity that he had made his boundaries clear and felt disrespected. He told Kimmel that the audience deserved better than recycled online drama. The crowd gasped, some cheered, others murmured in shock as phones captured every word. The control booth was in chaos as producers debated whether to cut to commercial. Kimmel, visibly rattled, tried to laugh it off, saying he didn't mean to pry. But Pitt was done with deflections. The tension reached a boiling point as Pitt made a sharp accusation of disrespect. The audience, now fully aware of the mounting conflict, sat riveted, recording every moment. Kimmel attempted to salvage the situation by offering a quick apology and shifting focus back to the film's production challenges. But Pitt was already standing, shocking everyone in the room. He declared he was not there to be a prop for someone else's narrative. The crowd responded with a roar, some supportive, others surprised. Producers furiously shouted into their headsets, urging a commercial break, but the cameras kept rolling. Pitt, with deliberate movements, unclipped his microphone and addressed the audience directly, saying they deserved stories about ideas, not manufactured controversy. Then he walked toward the stage exit. Kimmel, stunned, called after him, suggesting they could stick to the movie, but Pitt didn't turn back. He disappeared backstage, leaving the studio in chaos. The audience was buzzing with excitement and disbelief, sharing clips on their phones that quickly went viral. Backstage, Pitt's team hurried him toward the exit. A few crew members lingered, offering apologies, but Pitt waved them off, stating he wasn't angry, just done with being misrepresented. He left without further comment. Paparazzi, tipped off by the viral clips, swarmed the studio's exit, snapping photos as his car pulled away. The images hit entertainment sites within minutes, accompanied by headlines about Pitt's fiery departure. Some outlets praised his principles, others called him overly sensitive. Meanwhile, Pitt's team stayed silent, focusing on promoting his sci-fi thriller and redirecting attention to his work. Kimmel's team was in crisis mode. Producers reviewed footage, assessing the impact on the show's reputation. Kimmel, whose career was built on navigating high-profile interviews, was shaken. He felt Pitt had overreacted, but admitted his approach might have misjudged the actor's boundaries. The team debated issuing a public statement, but decided to wait, hoping the controversy would fade. The incident dominated entertainment news, with pundits dissecting every moment. Clips continued to spread, garnering millions of views. Pitt's fans rallied online, praising his dedication to his craft and causes, while gossip clips of his boundary speech circulated widely. Critics, however, were less kind. Some late-night hosts joked that Pitt had overreacted to a harmless question. The debate over whether the incident was justified or an overreaction kept the story alive in public discourse. The controversy had lasting effects for both sides. For Kimmel, it was a rare stumble. His reputation for handling sensitive interviews was challenged, with some praising his restraint and others criticizing his insistence on controversial topics. The episode became a case study on how to handle difficult guests, leading producers to tighten pre-show briefings and improve communication about boundaries. For Pitt, the walkout was both a challenge and a statement. His stand for control over his narrative resonated with fans and drove his film to critical and commercial success, with early awards buzz. The incident also sparked broader conversations about talk shows and celebrity culture. Experts debated whether hosts should shift towards more substantive discussions, especially with guests who set clear boundaries. Others argued that stars like Pitt should expect topical questions as part of the format. The clash became a reference point in media discussions about the evolving relationship between celebrities and the press. While Pitt's team declined future invitations from Kimmel, opting for venues that respected his focus on work, the controversy eventually faded from headlines but left lasting lessons. It highlighted the importance of respecting boundaries and the complex dynamics of celebrity interviews. In the end, Pitt's eggs, it was more than a moment of defiance. It was a stand for agency over his narrative. Kimmel, caught off guard, faced the limits of his approach in a changing industry. The story remains a powerful reminder of the tension between entertainment, authenticity, and respect. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Subscribe for more stories like this, and I'll see you in the next one.